Market presence and being out there is all about trying to produce a better result for your client. It's not about feeding your ego. And I think the folks at JLL misinterpreted why I was doing what I was doing.
So what happened?
Well, I got fired again. You know, it was interesting. I got a call from a friend of mine, Brian Sullivan, who's an anchor at CNBC, and he said, "Hey, Bob, we're doing a piece on office to residential conversions. We'd love to have you on the show. Go out, do the show. You know, normally on these national TV shows, you get 3 or 4 minutes. I think I had about 6 or 7 minutes, and I thought the piece went very well. But the next morning, the head of marketing at JLL calls me up and says, "Bob, what the heck were you doing last night? You were on national television. You can't do that." And I said, "Look, I know you're new, but my contract says I have unfettered access to the press. You know, I was being quoted in the press 2,000 times a year. I need that access." And you know, they said, "That can't possibly be right. I'll get right back to you." And never heard back. And then a couple of weeks later, the New York Times does a very glowing page-and-a-quarter profile on me in the Sunday edition. And, you know, the Times never does a profile on anybody, let alone a real estate broker. So I thought it was great press, but 3 days later, JLL fired me. So I remember it happened on Valentine's Day 2024, and I'm out at dinner with my wife, and I said, "Sin, you know, I know it's the right thing, it's a great thing for us, but I feel like shit." And that feeling only lasted a couple of days.
Okay.
But what it did for me, it made me realize that when I was at the big firms, it was almost like I was looking through binoculars with Vaseline on the lenses.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you know, I had gotten fired at about 10:05 on that morning, and by 10:20 I was in the map room making calls, and it was as if somebody wiped those lenses completely clear. Everything became so much more vivid, so much more important, so much more impactful.